Fire Emblem Gaiden, released on the 14th of March 1992 in Japan, follows the story of Alm and Celica, youths who live in the continent of Valentia, once shaped by two gods, Mila and Duma. These gods had opposing views and fought a war that split the continent in two. North became the kingdom of Rigel, Duma's domain, and south became the kingdom of Zofia, Mila's domain. Zofia's blessed earth provided the continent with bountiful harvests, while Rigel's mighty knights protected it. But times change, and Zofia became complacent and disharmonious, refusing Rigel its share. With its people gripped by starvation and suffering, Rigel begged for Zofia's help, only to be met with vicious mockery and laughter from the Zofian king, Lima IV. As such, King Rudolf of Rigel launched an invasion of Zofia, sealing the goddess Mila. Not only that, the Zofian Prime Minister Desaix betrayed the kingdom and slaughtered the Zofian royal family. The Zofian Castle has been taken, and remnants of the Zofian army are looking everywhere for help, including a backwater town to the very south of the continent, where Alm's story begins. Alm has just finished his sword training with his grandfather Mycen, who lets him have fun in the village, warning him of bandits outside. Near the village's entrance, a messenger has arrived. Lucas, a Zofian soldier, warns of the Desaix's plot. With the castle taken by hostile forces, a resistance group has been formed, hoping to get General Mycen's help. Mycen, however, refuses, believing that war only ever brings sorrow. Lucas is disappointed with this development, but Alm offers his own help instead, with Lucas taking any help he can get. I talk with the remaining villagers. Gray believes that the Ram village would be in danger, so he joins as well. Tobin follows Alm's cue to take back Zofia Castle, while Cliff is a bit more reluctant, but joins anyway. Now I have a 5-unit strong army. Alm is a fighter, a 5-movement class that wields swords. He starts with good overall stats, and his growths aren't that bad, for Gaiden standards anyway. He will be a good combat unit for most of the game, although his promotion arrives a bit late. Being a sword unit gives him access to some good weapons, like the lightning sword for ranged magic damage, while also having some great exclusives of his own. His movement is good for an early game unit, allowing him to charge ahead of most fragile units. He's a good unit overall. Lucas is a soldier, a 4-movement class that wields lances. He starts with good HP, strength and defense, and just enough speed to double attack brigands. His growths leave a bit to be desired though, his only good growths being HP and skill. His class choice is also not one of the best. Lances aren't that much different from swords, and this does give access to good options like the Rider's Bane. The soldier's promotions will boost mostly strength and defense, while leaving his speed and movement unchanged. He's a good early unit, who loses a bit of his advantages as other units promote to more mobile classes, although he's still usable, since Gaiden generally deploys all available units anyway. There's no competition for deployment slots. Gray is a villager, a 4-movement class that wields swords. He starts with good strength and HP, with good growths in these stats as well. Being a villager, he has a multitude of choices for promotion. Soldier emphasizes strength and defense, Mercenary has great skill and speed, Cavalier has great movement with balanced stats, Archer has great range on its weapons, while Mage gives access to magic damage. This choice is random, but can be refused until the preferred choice is given. His choice for magic is not amazing, and Soldier traps him into a class line that never goes above 4 movement, but the other 3 choices are good enough. Mercenary in particular is sometimes picked to patch his low speed. He's a good enough unit. Tobin is another villager. He has decent speed, but not much else, having good growths in HP, luck and skill. The latter kind of gels with an archer promotion, due to bows being rather inaccurate, but Mercenary and Cavalier aren't bad choices either. Mage though is even worse for Tobin, as his spell choices are rather barren. Overall though, he's not amazing, but still usable. Cliff is the first villager. He has high luck and resistance of all things, as well as great growths in HP, skill, speed and defense. He could do well as a physical class, but his wide spell list makes him the best mage candidate out of all 3 villagers, eventually gaining access to long-range Thunder, lightweight Excalibur, and high-power Sagittae. He starts a bit weak, but if his growths kick in, he could do good work. I leave Ram Village, entering combat with Brigands. This is a very simple map with not much terrain variation. Alm and Lucas occupy forest tiles in wait for the enemy force, finishing weakened Brigands with my villagers. Brigands with low HP will attempt to go to the village to heal on the pink supply style, so I block entry with Grey. After a few turns, I'm done. I advance further into the forest, initiating a second combat. This map features a ton more forest tiles, and Alm starts separated from the rest of the army. I attack the enemy archer with Lucas, so he retreats back for healing, while Grey draws some brigand attention for Tobin and Cliff to finish off. After a bit of a scrap between both sides, I end victorious. I then enter a cave. After going north, I fight a group of bandits on a simple map with no features. I advance further north, finding a cleric, Silk, who joins our army. Silk is a cleric, a 4-movement class that can cast magic. She starts with great resistance and good magic, which boosts healing capability for the first time in the series. She starts with a recover spell for healing, which does incur an HP cost in this game. She also starts with Nosferatu, which is offensive magic that drains HP, but its accuracy is a literal coin flip. Her spell list is mostly supportive. Notably, she can learn Warp early on, and during the late game she might learn the Invoke spell, which summons reinforcements. She's a great unit overall, with amazing utility. This shrine features a statue of Mila, which is capable of promoting units that have arrived at a proper level. I use the statue to promote Grey to a mercenary, Tobin to an archer, and Cliff to a mage. On either side of the shrine is a lion head statue. These grant stat boosts, but their uses are shared among both statues. I use the left statue to give Silk plus free speed, though maybe I could have given those to Lucas instead? I leave the shrine and move to the next combat. This map has mountainous terrain which can be crossed by certain classes, like the enemy mercenary. I move east first to deal with the main force, and when that is dealt with, I face the mercenary, which has a defense boosting leather shield. When he's defeated, he drops it, and I give it to Grey. I advance further north, initiating combat with the traitorous Zofian army, consisting of mainly soldiers, which are stationed north in indoor tiles that grant great evasion. Indoor combat in this game can be quite a slog. The archer meanwhile has a steel bow, which has greater range than the default bow, having a maximum of 5 range. I advance slowly but steadily, sending Alm towards the archer, getting his steel bow when defeated, which I give to Tobin. Once this force is dealt with, I enter the south outpost. There, I find a chest containing a lightning sword, which I give to Alm, and I find a prisoner, Claire. I free her, and she joins the army. Claire is a Pegasus Knight, a 7-movement class that wields lances. She has decent strength and speed, and great resistance, having great growths in skill, speed and luck, and a decent growth in strength. Her class grants her flying movement, allowing for quick access to important areas of the map. She's a good enough unit. I advance further north, fighting another Zofian force, with mostly soldiers in the northeast and a single cavalier in the distant northwest. By the time he arrives, I have already dealt with most of the main force, so he's no biggie. I then go north, fighting a force of cavaliers. I first deal with those in the south side of the river, blocking the bridge with Alm, allowing me to defeat the northern ones one by one. I enter a cave, finding the Resistance's hideout, meeting with Python, who is suspicious of me, but once he sees we're new recruits, he warns of monsters that stalk the cave. I go north, fighting Revenants and Bonewalkers. These monster-type enemies aren't that much of a threat, although they are numerous. Once dealt with, I go further north, finding a shrine, as well as Clive, leader of the Resistance, who joins us, as well as Forsyth, who talks of the strange happenings in Zofia. I then use the right lion statue, giving Silk plus free magic. While leaving the cave, I talk to Python, who joins us as well. Clive is a Cavalier, a 7-movement class that wields lances. He starts with good HP and strength, but his only good growth is in HP. He also starts with the Steel Lance, which is a decent power boost, though I could give it to any other lance user. He's pretty bulky at this point, and his high movement can help pull enemies ahead of the main army. He's good. Forsyth is a soldier. He's got good HP and strength, but lower speed. He's got good growths in HP and strength, but his class leaves him unfortunately locked at 4 movement. So while he will contribute well for the moment, it will become harder and harder for him to participate in combat. Python is an archer, who's got good HP and strength but low speed, also having good growths in HP and strength. Unfortunately, that starting speed means that the steel bow can be weighty enough to prevent him from doubling certain enemies, and he doesn't grow that well in it. His skill is also shaky, especially for a more inaccurate weapon type. He can help with some high-powered shots, but he needs some effort spent on him for him to become a good unit. The archer line in this game does have a good payoff. With an army 10 units strong, I advance towards Zofia Castle, Desaix taunting us as we arrive. This map is a tough one. A group of archers is ready to shower my army with arrows as we approach from the east. Although I reach the central corridor, this just ends up pulling one of the bosses of this chapter, Slade. He's bulky and strong, while also having good speed. The terrain here does give both ally and enemy extra evasion, so this ends up being a long fight, where most of my units participate in taking him down, starting with magic casts, then finally ending with melee attacks, ending him with Clive. When Desaix catches wind of this, he flees the battle. I deal with both the archer group and the central cavaliers, among them also being a knight with great defense and an arcanist, a caster capable of healing and using the miasma spell for damage. This is a long and arduous battle, but once I finally defeat the Arcanist, I liberate Zofia Castle. The people here say that Desaix has fled to his fort on the west, having stolen the royal sword, a gift from the kingdom of Rigel. Desaix had also slaughtered the Zofian royal family, except for the princess, which was under the care of Mycen. An unopened chest here contains the Rider's Bane, a lance effective against the cavalier line of classes. I gave this one to Claire for the time being. Desaix pinned the crime of killing the royal family to Mycen, who fled. A man is surprised that Alm is Mycen's grandson, believing that he had no kin. Another man says that Desaix requested help from Rigel. I then climbed the stairs, finding Mycen. Wait, how did he arrive here before me? Anyway, Mycen tells Alm that he should carve his own destiny and rid Valentia of its cursed fate. It is not only Alm's duty, but also of the red-haired girl who will soon arrive. Zofia Castle has been liberated, but Desaix's retreat is a cause of concern, as he could regroup and attack. It seems, however, that as Alm traveled through Zofia, someone else had started a journey of her own. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, as we begin Celica's story.